Okay. Super. Dann hocke ich mal auf den Tisch, glaub's. I sit on the table.
In this room, how many of you have heard of Meteor and have used it already? Have used it already?
Pause between the questions.
How many here have used Meteor already? None. Cool. Okay.
Good topic.
Okay. So Meteor. Now what? I hope you can read it. If you don't, ask me. Anyway, okay, so the cool thing is, it's JavaScript all the way. It's basically a manipulated Node.js server, as you know it already. And I think all of you in here are used to the Node.js. Not really? Okay.
No.
How many here are used to Node.js? Okay, well. I mean, Node.js is just a JavaScript server and it has a package manager already, so it's really simple. And what Meteor does is it embraces the Node.js paradigm of using JavaScript. However, it has its own packaging system, which I'll come to later. So the cool thing is, Meteor uses Socket.io natively, meaning that you basically only transfer your data changes over the wire, and then use some kind of backbone or Ember templating system to synchronize it with your view layer. And it makes it really easy to have those rhythm-esque behavior implemented pretty easily. And then, so another point is it embraces the MongoDB standard, meaning MongoDB is basically everywhere now, and they have built their own mini Mongo implementation for the browser, meaning that now you have two databases again. And if you have 1,000 users on your website, you now have 1,000 plus one databases you need to synchronize. It makes it a bit harder for some cases, but it also makes it really easy for the other ones. And also, as I show afterwards in the demo, first off you define collections. It's basically a list of JavaScript properties, and whenever something changes, it just syncs it automatically without you having to refetch the whole collection. And initially you can really load quite a big collection and then only sync the deltas over Socket.io, which makes it really nice. And yeah, it sort of embraces reactive. I think the reactive term, the Meteor guys invented it somehow, or yeah, not really invented, but only invented the term.
What does it mean?
Yeah, it basically means whenever you basically bind the collection, the MongoDB collection, and to your view layer, and whenever something changes on the server or some other claim, and the delta then just gets synced to you, and this newest edition then appears in your view layer, and because of the binding, it just appears on the screen. That's sort of the reactive explanation we have. And as already mentioned before, they have smart packages, meaning that they have yet another package management system. And so the cool thing is you can, now in the command line, you can basically say meteor package add, and then enter the package name, and they have about 10 or 15 predefined packages you can just use out of the box. So not a whole lot of packages as with the NPM package manager. And then another thing they have implemented, which steers Meteor quite heavily, is the use of fibers. How many have already have heard of fibers? Have you used them? Oh, okay, yeah. So I think fibers are breaking JavaScript, mean,
What is it?
yeah, okay, I explain it. The fibers basically turns your async JavaScript code into synchronous JavaScript code, which is like, it's breaking JavaScript. And it's really hard to get used to it. And also, so for example in Meteor, when you want to use some kind of HTTP fetching packet to fetch some kind of remote resource, you normally would use a callback structure. And if you want to use something like this in Meteor, you need to wrap it in a fiber to make it synchronous. And it's not blocking, but it sort of wraps it in a packet and then sort of treats it like a thread. Basically, fibers are threading implemented on JavaScript. So you can still write synchronous code and then use the async behavior of fibers. But it's just different to get used to. And yeah, there's some disadvantages I bumped into when developing a prototype was because of the multiple databases you have now. For some applications, it makes it really hard to sync them up because, you know, with MongoDB, the newest insert entry always wins. It's not as in CouchDB where you just have a revision. You can do that as well, but you have to implement it manually. And normally with MongoDB, it's just like insert it, and if there's something else coming a second later, that one wins. And anyway, yeah, this JavaScript isn't really working. All the callbacks are not there. No, that's already before. So, I have prepared a demo. That's not really cool.
Right.
It worked before. I hope it still does work. Does anyone know how to improve the size here, the font size?
Command Shift plus.
Yeah.
Just Command Shift plus. Quick plus.
Or in the menu bar.
Or just
Completely good.
Huge.
Cool. Yeah, we don't really have to see it anyway. Okay, so Meteor, this one is pretty short. You can see it, okay. So
Sorry,
basically
have you got the screencast running?
Sorry?
Have you got the screencast software running?
No,
Okay,
sorry.
no problem.
Okay, so here you could add your packages, and if you say like Meteor list, you see all the ones which are installed by default. For example, there's Amplify, which is a layer between your HTML5 local storage and JavaScript, which I used in my demo afterwards. And yeah, some other well-known libraries. So anyway, should I begin with a demo which I created myself, or with one which was on the website?
So,
You want it more beautiful or the ugly one first?
Ugly.
The ugly one. Okay, cool. Okay. Is it big enough here? You can see it, I guess. Okay, so what I created here is I'm working at some kind of real-time game system at ETH, and we're using Socket.io manually for this one. And I just tried to come up with a sort of synchronous implementation based on Meteor. This is an example where okay, we're not in the same network now. So down here, you basically would see a waiting room of all the clients connected, meaning that I can copy and paste this one. And then, it's the same. So on each, whenever client is connecting, they're connecting via Socket.io, and they receive some kind of generic user identifier. I'll just use this one as a name right now. So now you should see there should be a second one popping up here, which it doesn't.
You could disconnect when you started the...
No. Oh yeah, okay, you're right. As soon as I start Firefox, the whole thing crashes.
I think you have way too many tabs open.
That's your opinion.
It says 2 users online.
Yeah, but it should be
It should
3
be
actually.
2 users, but...
Come on.
Maybe you can show the petty demo.
Okay, now
You use the file.
I just use this one then.
That could be more.
Okay, now it should work. Just 2 users. Basically, at a later stage, you would have sort of a waiting room down here with all the users that are available to play with. And then you can see, say like, okay, I'll play against user X, for example. And so initially when you connected a website, I created sort of a user object for you. And if we can look into that one, that's really cool because you can just use the Mongo syntax and then browse the object itself just as an ID, and you can see the ID matching with this ID here. Actually can't. No.
Another
It
question.
matches the one on the left.
It will match, yeah, it matches to
Oh yeah, it's just the other one, okay. It didn't reach that.
So, did it fetch this data now from the server, or did it have this locally already?
This is locally, but it's synced up with the server. So
Okay.
if I would enter some kind of initial data on the server, it will be synced up to the client. And also what happened in the past was that the server crashed, and when I restarted the server, it basically had an empty database, and then it sort of sucked down the contents of the browser and inserted the database on the server. And so now we have 2 clients, we have 2 browsers connected to this one, and I can say play against this one, which, just for the sake of showing it, the games collection, so I have 2 collections. I have a user collection with all the users in it, and then I have a games collection with all the games in it, like the games played. And the games collection normally would be only in the browser, only on the server, just to not be able for the client to somehow manipulate it. Because that's sort of a huge security risk right now. And also, they're working on some authentication mechanism which isn't there yet. So, do not use it in production, please. Okay, but now I can show you the... I can show you the game object I just created, which basically is just an array of moves, like 10 iterations, for example, and I just insert all the moves the game player hits, and some ideas and some game logic. And now I start the game, and you can see on the other one as well, the game is started, and then you have to play 10 rounds.
Can you place the windows side by side?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Jeff. Okay, anyway, so now the game is terminated. I haven't implemented the logic of who won yet. Let's get to it, yeah. However, now we can sort of go in again and see, like, find one. Because there's only one game right now in there, we can see all the moves I made and so on. And then we basically ran some analytics. Why are you laughing?
Just thought player one has an obsession with scissors. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so this one then could be backed up and stored in some other location afterwards.
So does every browser get everyone else's gains?
No, no, that's something I can show afterwards. So basically, you have two ways to implement it. You have a sort of a broadcast to everyone kind of attitude collection, and then you also can have another sort of a shared collection where you have to subscribe to sort of one ID of that sort of subrange of that collection, and then only those items are sent to you. But I'm not sure if you can't really access all the other ones.
If you subscribe, you probably can.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's really the ugly demo. And because normally, whenever you restart the browser, so let's say I refresh it, or totally refresh it, normally in Socket.io you'll get a different username, user ID, and I hooked this one up to the HTML5 local storage, so I have some kind of persistency. And now we can go through the code. So the way it is organized is you have 3 folders initially. It's the server. Can you see it, everyone? Okay. So we have 3 folders: server, client, and public. And all the code in client and public will be pushed to the client, and the ones on the server obviously not. But basically, you can also have only one single JavaScript file, and then all the logic, even for the server, will be pushed to the client. Not functional, but it's still there. And so the templating thing will be done with Backbone. Yeah. And
sorry.
Yeah.
Just so you're using Backbone.js.
It's actually the recommended way of doing it.
The recommended way.
I didn't really try another templating framework.
So it's underscore template.
Backbone, just handlebars with mustache or whatever.
Yeah, but afterwards, I think at least they told me to use Backbone.
You can use Backbone, but you don't have to.
Okay. I never used Backbone before, so. Okay.
I ask afterwards.
Okay, and then let's say we go to the server, and this one is actually not necessary. So with the upper line here, make this one bigger. Does anyone know how to make it bigger?
There's search on the
It's just way too easy.
No, it won't work. You search for it, you go to Sublime Text, and then user settings, and you know what?
Mouse wheel.
Oh, come on.
Good.
Give Sublime Text a chance, man.
I already bought the license, so they have different channels.
Actually, text made somehow scales the text better than some.
Okay, so does anyone know how to scale it here?
Command plus.
Works.
Scalability
issues instead of this.
Okay.
Main criteria.
So you can use any other npm modules by just redefining the require statement, and then you can use it. Although, and that's probably for sure that all the other libraries are using some kind of async behavior, so then you need to wrap it in a fiber as well to make it usable for Meteor. Otherwise, it will crash and will give you some weird error messages, and it doesn't. So if there's something failing, because of the way Meteor works, it will take your code and then wrap it up and mash it up with the other one, and you don't see where actually the error happened. And it's basically the same dilemma as with CoffeeScript. On the other side, whenever you save your file, it will just be reprocessed and it's up and running again. So let's say I removed the require statement here, and I saved it already. So it's already running. Let's say I delete the users collection. Now you can see it. There's still 2 users here. And if I delete it, save it, oh yeah, there's 0 users here, so it's not working anymore. And I think there might be, yeah, some error message here. But it's not really, I mean, yeah, this one is clear, but normally we get some really weird error messages.
So, but the server is still running.
Yeah, server is still running. It just, whenever something goes wrong, it just restarts again. Okay.
So it monitors the files and on save, it
Yeah.
pushes the app out to the client. So
Yeah.
Can you turn that off for production?
you could, but
Why?
you don't want to, because if you deploy a new version, you want the clients to update. Because like you're not going to build backwards compatibility for the old API you might be using, so you want the client to auto update.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, that's just the way it works with Meteor. And it's also sort of the way that it's more conventional configuration. It just really forces you to use some kind of attitude. Okay, and so basically, first off, you define your collections you want to use, and then you publish them to the client itself. I just defined 2 of them, game and users, and then publish all the collections to the client. And then I have some client-side methods, which is just the game logic basically. And as you can see here, I define the game here, define the game, and then sort of synchronously check if it's there, and then continue here. So in an async way, this wouldn't really work. Yeah. So it really gets you rethinking in order to write Meteor code. Because of all the fiber logic in here.
This is server code.
This is server code, but it's not really different from the client code as well.
Yeah.
I mean, and also the sort of the games update thing here, that's just the MongoDB syntax to update an individual entry.
So if the client makes a move, then the update is triggered by the client to the server, and the server triggers it or forwards it to MongoDB.
So in the client file, first of all, you have all your templating bindings, and where is it? Can't find it anymore. I tried to refactor it before the event, but I didn't really succeed. I can't find it anymore. Anyway, maybe it's not in there. Some kind of magic happening. Oh yeah, it's different. It's just bound to properties itself. So what I do is when you want to create a new game, I basically make a call, an async call to Meteor, and then give all the properties by this to the server. This is something which is really uncommon to Meteor itself. Like, so it's really different from the other Meteor logic. And also the response thing didn't really work for me yet. So maybe it's broken, I didn't really care about it. But basically, whenever you hit the add new game button, it will trigger a start game call to the server, which then creates the, which then basically checks whether player 1 and player 2 is bigger than the other one, and creates a MongoDB collection insertion for this specific game. And then just updates the user items as well, just for the sake of simplicity. Yeah, and basically all I want to show you was just that the code itself is really different compared to Mongo JavaScript code. And I also tried, for example, fetching something from Google with the newest, like sort of making an HTTP request against something. And with the newest 0.3.3 release, they embedded some kind of HTTP library to make that useful as well. But before, it wasn't really possible. And I really wasted about an afternoon just figuring out how that will be possible. But all the async behavior is not really working. And so now to the more beautiful example.
Can you show how so do you have to define the database scheme in for MongoDB?
No. MongoDB is no SQL database, and as such, it doesn't really need a database schema.
So you don't have to define the shape of the collections beforehand.
No. But also, you can really cut yourself as well if you make sort of a runtime change, and then you sort of want properties from previous releases where it didn't have them in there. Yeah, that's just bad luck. And also, right now, I don't use MongoDB on my server. So it's using mini-Mongo as well in the server scenario.
Which just uses the JavaScript
Yeah.
in memory.
Memory is cheap.
And non-persistent.
You can use Mongo with memory?
They just announced it like 2 weeks ago. Right?
Oh yeah, it's really new, and I mean you also see it if you're on the IRC. Like the first question was like, is there authentication built in? No, but you have to build it yourself. They're still working on the authentication part, so there's really a lot of missing stuff in there. And also, I really wouldn't use it in production, even if I had the chance. Because also of the structure you have to, also of the way you have to structure an application. I mean, when I wanted to create this rock, paper, scissors application, I thought about it in the traditional sense that you have a sort of server, and this one handles just all the collision detection and the game logic itself. And with Meteor, you're forced to do it differently. Either way, with synchronous code and then with multiple collections, and you need to come up with a way to somehow sync them, and also that the way you can sort of count and index those collections. It might work fine with, let's say, 100 items in the browser, but what are you doing if you have 1,000 items in sort of a mini Mongo database, even if it's running inside a MongoDB database? At some point, it really gets slow and it's not efficient.